Good evening, everyone. It's Jeanette Martin, the owner of MYBC Consulting. And you may hear a cow in the background, and that's because I live on a 5-acre farm in South Langley, and we're melting, and we refuse to close our windows. So you will hear a cow. That's not us in the background having rumbly tummies. It's actually a cow waiting to be fed. So welcome to another MYBC virtual bookstore author series. And that's where I bring on people that have chosen to use words in a very unique way. And I'm super excited tonight because, again, America's Supermom, Lachelle Akins, introduced me to Theresa Lambert. Oh my gosh, it's got to be about 6 months ago now when we first had our conversation. Welcome, Theresa.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, it feels like it's been a while ago, and I know we had to reschedule at one point. And so here we are, June 29th, as we're melting together in the heat wave. So if you see me taking my ice pack and doing this, it is hot out. It's 41 degrees in Whistler.
Yeah,
that's 103 for anyone listening in the States. So
and hot. Yesterday it felt like 53 degrees here where we live. So it was very, very hot. And I'm so pleased that you're being able to put an ice pack in. Let's have a conversation about how you've used your words over your life to develop the business that you have, that you're a coach now. So let's unpack a bit of your journey about being an author in various different multimedias.
I love that. Yeah, I think that I've always enjoyed writing. I will say that. And I've also always enjoyed speaking. So it only made sense that, I use those skill sets and really leverage them. And I think that so many of us think that we don't have enough to say. But when you actually just start putting pen to paper, it's amazing how much actually comes out.
I was on your website earlier, and you have the one section connected to your book, and it's really powerful. Yeah. Can you give a couple of statements, or I'm sure you can remember? Are you frozen? Oh, did I lose?
I think I'm losing the connection. Okay. I don't know.
You know what's going on. I'm going to hang on. We're going to switch connection here. Give me 1 second, audience. We're going to pause for a little technical difficulty. We will be right back. Hang on. We're just going to switch different Wi-Fi. It's all good. All good. Hang on, Theresa. Don't go anywhere. Oh, hang on, Theresa.
I'm back.
Don't go anywhere. I'm switching my Wi-Fi source, so I'll be right back, okay? So please good. Pause. Okay. Oops. Switch that. And we are connected and back with a stronger Wi-Fi connection, I hope this time.
Fingers crossed. It is really hard, so who knows? That might also be around with the technology. But no, I was just really talking about, us not understanding often how many stories we have to tell and how much expertise actually is within us. And when you enjoy writing, when you enjoy speaking, really use it as an opportunity to share your story, to share your expertise, to share what you stand for, and you get to position yourself as a thought leader in this world, in your community, in your business, like wherever you like. And the beautiful thing about this is that we can leverage media, we can leverage social media, our own platforms, right? Like us being here and having this conversation on your Facebook group, we have this ability to share our stories and what we do through so many different ways. And it's just the funnest thing that I could think of doing to reach the people that I want to reach. So
and it was, like I said, it was on before we kind of cut out with my my crazy internet, is that one powerful page connected to your book where it starts, I wrote, and then you filled in the blank, I wrote, you filled in the blank, I wrote, I filled in the blank. And it goes on from, I think, about 15 or 20 statements down the way. And it was just so, it was like, wow. I feel such honor when I read that, because those words are past tense. And like, you wrote to give, like you wrote to do this, to share your story. Well, specifically, I'm talking about your book, because that's where it's connected to. Let's go back to, because on your bio that you sent me and I posted earlier, it said about magazines. So tell us how that evolved with being an author in magazines.
Yeah, I mean, the PR world really, I got introduced to or immersed in, I would say, while I was still a GM of a luxury boutique hotel up here in Whistler. So very much started to recognize that, we only have so much reach as ourselves, okay?
Right.
Especially at the beginning of any business journey, whether you're having your own business, whether you're running a team, whether you're a new author, like it really doesn't matter. But media are trusted sources. And so through that, it's about positioning yourself and really thinking about, what publications would I like to be associated with? Where would I like to be featured in? How would that help me to, highlight myself as an expert in a certain field, on a certain topic? And so through the hotel and building, really building a good PR strategy and how we can leverage the media, and having a lot of, media come to site, experience the product, and then writing about it, I started to see the power that really has, and the reach that this has, because obviously an established magazine, and I recently wrote an article again for Thrive Global, and so when you have that, right, their readership is huge, right? Where my blog, I only have so many people, and I will honestly say that my blog hasn't been looked after as much as it could be, but I've been writing for other publications, and everybody desires to have unique content. And so when you write a lot, you kind of have to pick and choose. But so this is really where it started for me, where I got introduced to media, really started to, understand how to communicate your mission and your values and your purpose in a medium, like in some sort of a platform that somebody else has to offer. Magazines. Now for me, it's podcasts, right? So as an author, it's also about, how do you get your message out? And I have the book here, Achieve with Grace. But like, once you write a book, the journey starts.
Right.
I think so many people don't realize that, right? Because it's not just a book and then the book just, takes off on all the bookshelves, right? Like, unless you, and I self-published, I did not publish with a publishing house, but I'm hoping that a project that will be coming in this decade, in this like decade that we're in right now, I can't tell you when, I do desire to work with a publishing house and have it be different, but I really wanted to own the content of my book, so that I'm also able to take pieces from the book and then repurpose it as articles, as content, as, like programs even within my coaching. And so it really became a purposeful guide to people as I wrote the book. It was for me a soul cleansing journey, but also it became 120 odd page document that I could draw from, because I own the content and I can take the content and I can share it and make blogs out of it, articles out of it, whatever you like, and you've already written it. So there's a beautiful way of leveraging the work that you've already done and repurposing the content, because very few people would ever read a section or, something else from your book and be like, that was in your book. I think we know. So we think other people know, but truthfully, they don't.
So there's a couple of things that I want to unpack in that what you just said, and I want to loop back a little bit to the magazines. I've been published in a couple of magazines, and I know my journey in the magazine world in a profession that I was in before. So did you go reach out to magazines to offer your services, or did they come and find you? What was that journey like?
Yeah, so it's a little bit of both, right? Like reaching back
Okay.
throughout my career, I've had people reach out to me before I was featured in Hotelier magazine while I was still a GM, and that was a specific piece on, you know, hotels and where I was at. And so that was a piece that somebody had reached out to me. A lot of what I do now, and I do get every now and then I hear from media, and if it is a piece that is worthwhile being a part of, I definitely apply. In the background, you see the book that says 365.
Yes.
That's
I was
Pursuit
going to mention that
365.
because I know that book. So we're
Yeah.
going to talk a little bit about that book shortly.
Okay. So anyway, so that opportunity I found out through my friend and co-host Blair Kaplan-Venables, who's also my co-host for Dissecting Success, our podcast. And she shared the opportunity with me. So I connected with Shelley, the publisher. And so I ended up in the book, this book, another book. But yeah, a lot of the times too, it's about pitching your stories to media. And a great resource that you can look up that I'd love to share if it's okay with you is called Haro, Haro, Find or Help a Reporter. So Haro, Help a Reporter. And you can Google it. So Haro, all capital letters, you'll find it. And you can actually subscribe to get 3 emails a day, all listing out media that is looking for reporters, that are looking for contributors. So basically what you can do is you can see what topics are available in like all different areas. There's a lot coming at you, but it's well worth doing. And if there's a story that you feel like you can contribute, you're able to actually pitch your story, pitch your idea, pitch your input to the publisher. Sometimes you know who it is, sometimes you don't. And if you're selected, that's how you can get featured in media absolutely free.
That's so cool, because what I teach people lately is a lot of times the physical magazine always these days has a digital copy that's going to be delivered into somebody's digital or e-reader, and that taking that published URL that gets created, the digital copy, and then putting it into your LinkedIn profile under publications. So opening up your LinkedIn, say publication, here's the URL, here's what the article was about, here's the title of it. And if you happen to know the publisher of the magazine, and I'm now telling people to do this with blogs, that if you've been featured on somebody's blog, is again, take that URL, everything we do on the interweb creates its own little unique hyperweb, or hyperlink, I should say, and put it into your publication. So people can see how you speak, people can see how you sound, people can see where you've been written. And if you can imagine the amount of clicks, because that magazine gets the metrics every time somebody clicks to read the digital version of the article versus the hard copy being sold or the soft copy, they may have you come back. Like they'll go, wow, that article's been read over and over and over again. Or me, I would think as an author going, wow, I got told that article's being read a lot. Maybe I should be writing a book regarding that particular topic as well. Well, that's a great tip, guys. Those that are tuning in live, and just so you're aware, Theresa, I tend not to monitor comments because I like to be present for my authors. And if anybody's got any questions or clarifications, we'll get Theresa to put that website into the comments as well. That's huge for you sharing that tonight. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're so welcome. I found out about it. Yeah, I was in a mastermind that was in about a year ago, and I thought it was brilliant. You can also pay, of course, there's a paid version that you can use. I don't use the paid version. I just get the free stories. And like you said, once you have a relationship, if you write an article and if, it works, publishers will reach out to you. And that's what's been happening for me. And so I have access to, you know, stories for big publications, what they're looking for. And so as you build your name and as you also write more stories, this is another way to then leverage that. Once you've been in media, once you've contributed somewhere, you're able to include that when you pitch new media, because again, it shows that expert status. But it's just a great way to position yourself, your business, and also drive organic traffic to your website, to your social media platforms, where you have an opportunity to start engaging with, you know, these people that were interested in your article on an actual closer basis, and they can turn into clients down the road. So
yeah, it's so powerful. And when I think about the digital articles or the digital magazines that I subscribe to, and there's even the comment boxes, a lot of times when you buy a magazine, you know, the reader goes away, reads it wherever he's going to read it. But on the digital version, there's a lot of times the editors will put the comment boxes to start dialogue and conversation underneath what you get published. Okay, so we've leaving the magazine world for a little bit, and now you've decided to write a book. What was the process like of you writing that incredible book?
Yeah, so I decided in January of 2020 that I was going to write a book in 2020. And it sort of opportunities all unfolded the way they did. The pandemic obviously hit in March. And I actually found myself in a place where I had left a hotel already. I was in my business and I had lost work because of it. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess it's time to write this book. And the other really, you know, the process for me around that too was, how do I actually help people? What was my story? How can I support somebody, a coaching client, whether in, you know, business or on their leadership journey? But how can I, you know, describe it in a way that actually makes logical sense to someone who's not sitting in my brain, right? Because I think we have our own process, and for us it's really easy to talk about it, but then people are like, I don't know, like it's too complicated, right? So it really helped me to step back and to think about, okay, well, how did I take myself through, you know, my journey? The book is all about, you know, managing and handling and leading effectively in an intense workplace, which a hotel is, and burnout, and how I bounced back from that. And, you know, there's so many layers and pieces to it, like that ended up coming up for me as I started writing this book. But it was really for me figuring out what's my unique process, in what ways do I approach you know, supporting somebody else, but how did I do it for myself? And so it gave me this opportunity to not just tell a story, because I did tell a story, I told my story, but also to put it in a format that's really easy to understand, that's inspiring, and that also supports somebody to take immediate action. And so at the end of each section of my book, I actually introduce you to my coaching model that I use. And at the end of every section of the book, there's 3 main sections in the book, there's questions that you can complete and take yourself through it. And if you do the exercises at the end of each book, you will actually really start to see transformational change in the way you show up as a leader in your life, the way you balance, you know, work, career with life. So I really wanted it to be something practical. And so really, I wrote it in the 28 days. And that's what you referred to. I wrote that piece much later.
Blows my mind.
But I literally sat down every day and I just started writing. Like that was the first step for me. I just started writing. And then as I was writing, I was like, oh, okay, right? I can like reorganize that. And I think I wrote the first chapter 3 times. And people always say that you become a better writer the more you write, right? You start to understand. And I also had an amazing editor, Genevieve Pardo, who's amazing. She was incredible. She really supported me as well, gave me some really great feedback. And that was really helpful as well. But so I literally approached it a little different from most people, in the sense that I knew that I wanted to outline my process. I knew that I
Okay.
wanted it to be a guide and actually give people actionable steps that they can take away from the book and implement on their own. But at the same time, I also wasn't 100% sure yet what parts of my story would go in and what would go out, and how much storytelling is too much storytelling, right? Like, it was my first book.
Yeah.
So you learn. But so I literally I just started to write.
There's been some great feedback on your website about your book and reviews. What I'd like to do now is, I know you have your book in your hand.
I
Can
do.
you read the back cover of your book, please?
Sure. The whole thing?
Sure. Oh, I've got time if you've got time. We're
Okay,
melting,
that
but
sounds
we've got
great.
all the time in the world.
I love it. It's time to leave behind the busy equals success lie of intense workplaces and achieve with grace. Renowned strategist and coach Theresa Lambert shares her incredible journey in the world of luxury hospitality for the first time in this transformational book. Become wholly satisfied in all areas of your life as you achieve elegantly, and start today. If you're an ambitious leader who feels pressure to measure your success by validation or external results, it's time to transform the way you work and live. Walk away with tools to change your story, understand your drivers, triggers, and motivators, and create a balanced and energy saving approach to achieving your goals. And then there's the next section that says praise for achieve with grace. Achieve with can't talk anymore. Let me start again. Achieve with grace resonates with truth, vulnerability, and inspiration. Yes, it is about your career and leadership, but what it is really about is finding the truest meaning in your life, the one that may be hidden behind the expectations of others. Theresa's voice rings clearly and authentically throughout, and it is easy to see how she helps so many people to achieve a state of a balanced energy and elegant results. It is so rare to find a book that inspires, motivates, and is also so incredibly doable. Achieve with Grace is not just for the stressed out overachieving leader. It is for all of us. That was from Fiona Douglas Crampton, who's the president and CEO of the Dalai Lama Center for Peace and Education in Vancouver.
Wow, beautiful.
I've got another one. Theresa's motivational guide will serve as a wake-up call to leaders living with constant burnout. These pages serve as a mirror, allowing the opportunity for powerful self-reflection and accountability. Her transformative tools will help you shift your mindset and actions to make room for the best version of yourself. That testimonial was from Joanna Jagger. She's an MA, a CHEP, HR professional, and the president and founder of the Wolf Association, as well as she works at the Capilano University School of Tourism as a convener and instructor. Okay. This one's from my coach who helped me write my book, Mike Skripnik. Making the hardest jobs look easy is reserved for distinct personalities and top performers. Theresa's principles teach driven people who are outliers or rebels like her to achieve success in the toughest situations where grace and poise are necessities. And that's Mike Skripnik. He's a 6-time author, international speaker, and business coach, as well as the CEO and founder of the Grow, Get, Give coaching, which is awesome. And then the last one is from Caroline Bagnall with Profitable Hospitality. She's a strategist and adult educator. And here's what her thoughts were. Theresa Lambert's Achieve with Grace takes us through a powerful, relatable, and immediately actionable coaching model. Leaders committed to effectiveness and balance must read this insightful book.
Wow, that's they're also very diverse in their feedback. I'd love to know before we move on to the next to your spoken word, how you're using your word spoken, is if you could say the top 3 professions or people that need to get this book into their hands. I love to do that so my watchers out there or listeners, however you are tuning in, can kind of go, oh, either that's me, or I know that maybe I can buy it as a gift. So what are, say, three types of people or professions that would benefit from reading your book, Theresa?
I would say your traditional A-type, high achiever, go-getter kind of person. They're always on the go, always busy, may not like that they're always busy, feeling stressed, but they hold a lot of responsibility. They always show up, they always get stuff done, but they do it sacrificing their own personal well-being and time. Okay. So that would be a group. Sorry if you heard something. That was my cat nearly falling off the side. It's very entertaining surrounding us.
It is. We have the animals in the background. That's our singers have backup singers. We have backup animals.
That's it. I love it. And then, you know, in terms of like professions, I think that this is a great book for anybody who's in a leadership role. 100%. Like if you're leading a team or an organization or your own business, I think it's a great book to read for yourself. I do share, obviously, my experience in luxury hospitality. So anybody in the hotel world will seriously live through the stories that I shared. And I did actually have quite a few people that have read my book are from the hospitality field or have been in hospitality. And I literally have people that were like, like you wrote this book for me. And so they really self-identified and can relate to the stories and the difficulties and the challenges of running, you know, a hotel, a service-based business where you have clients and you have people in your face, sometimes not saying so nice things. I'm just dropping my cat. So yeah, so those would be the people I would recommend reading this book.
We're in alignment or something that you don't know about me, but when I was 18 years old, I went and moved away, and my grow up year was at the Banff Springs Hotel, and I worked in the Banff Springs Hotel for a year. Started as a dishwasher and moved into be the kitchen, and left coming home to go to culinary school. And oh my gosh, when you got to be on fire, you got to be on fire. And I can remember working in the kitchen, and of course when banquets would get booked, and I was like 2,000 meals, like the potato lady. And it was amazing, but it's all got to be perfect. The first plate's got to be exactly the same as the last plate going out, and it's all got to be hot. So I'm looking forward to reading your book as well, because I know it's going to bring back a lot of good memories, and I'm sure some not so great memories.
Yeah,
so let's move on. In the last,
hospitality is so relatable, right? Because it's intense, and I think one thing that we all probably experience is that sense of pressure. The pressure that we have to perform, the pressure to do our jobs well. And hospitality amplifies it because you're constantly being watched by the people you lead, by the people you work with, by the people you serve, right? So you're under constant surveillance. And, you know, so it's interesting how that really impacts how much more pressure you can put on yourself in that environment. But yeah, I love that you were the potato editor. That's a lot of plates, 2,000 plates.
Oh yeah, the different banquets. So we just have a couple of minutes, and I want to wrap up that you've now moved on to have your podcast. So what prompted you to start a podcast with Blair? Blair is a well-known social media expert out there, has been published herself a couple of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8 times. So what prompted you to now move to a podcast? If we can kind of in a 2 or 3 minute wrap up here.
Absolutely. So Blair and Blair actually was part of my book journey, because I reached out to her and I was curious, but she, because I knew she was writing a book. So we sort of connected and we knew each other already. And throughout the, you know, pandemic, like March till like late summer, we both published our books, both became best-selling authors. And we started to have these conversations around success, like on Zoom calls, on like Messenger, on balconies, when it was safe to do. We only actually saw each other a few times. And I remember Blair came over, she dropped off her book. We were sitting on my balcony and we're having another one of these conversations around success and how it looks from the outside and how we feel on the inside. And so it was just this really interesting conversation. And so Blair was like, and we were talking about speaking, and I was like, I'm up leveling my speaking. I was in a speaking program to really like level up my ability to speak as a professional speaker on stages. And so Blair was like, you know, these conversations are really interesting. We should start a podcast. And I was like, oh, I'd like love to start a podcast with you. Sounds like so much fun. And so we decided in the summer that we wanted to do the podcast, that we wanted to be this project that feels fun, where we give value. We wanted to have guests, and we wanted to have this conversation about success and really dissecting success, what it means, what it doesn't mean, if you can put it in a box. we've since decided you can put it in a pineapple. And if you want to know what that means, you've got to go and listen to the Dissecting Success podcast. And we talk about it in the first episode of that. But
go listen to it, because I have. It's
really fun. It's really fun. And what I would say too about our podcast, it's fun. Our episodes are short. We keep them conversational, and how Blair and I roll is similar to how we jumped on this. We sort of have an idea of what we're talking about, but we literally will drop a topic. Like this week, our episode's called the F word, and it's not what you think. It's not what you think. We're actually talking about offering value for free and leading with value first, and how to build a community and actually then be able to attract, soul clients and be able to have people attracted to your business rather than you always having to go find them. So we tie in business, we tie in success. We have really, really cool guests on our podcast. So it's well worth a listen, and they're fun, short, snappy episodes. We usually keep them between 20 to 30 minutes, and that's it. And every now and then we go a little bit longer, but for the most part they're short and snappy, and they're really fun. But that's how that started. And I love podcasting.
It's this is my version of a podcast, and I have a lot of content, and maybe one day I'll take it and put it on a podcast. But I just love people and connecting people and collaborating and building a cool community of like-minded individuals. So Theresa, I'd like to say thank you so much for kind of sitting there as we're melting and sharing your story, and understanding that when you have words, when you have a story, you can find a magazine, you can put it into a book, you can put it into a podcast, but our voices matter, your story matters. And afterwards, we'll make sure in the comments, we'll put Theresa's website where you can get her book, listen to the podcast. And of course, if you have any questions, Theresa will come back and pop into my comments to answer any questions that you do.
Yeah, just tag me. If you have a question for me, just make sure you tag me. And then I'll see the comments on my Facebook, and I will go and answer them all, or send me a message. I'm happy to connect and chat and support you. So yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was so fun. I am melting.
Yes, so, we are. So, hey guys, as I love to end this, go grab a book, go grab an ebook, go grab an audiobook, snuggle in, put a fan on you, have a cool drink, and settle in, because you just never know what you're going to learn when you decide to read. Enjoy the night, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.